Hello, everyone, and welcome to Team Gravity's Fight Night. I'm Jack Jack, and with me is Sir Robin, the bravely bold human from Team Gravity. How are you doing, Robin?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Man, I am so good! We got ridiculous matches coming up. We got JonSnow versus iaguz. We got Dragon versus Destro. We got Huck versus Scarlet, most particularly. First up, of course, is going to be that iaguz versus JonSnow. But before that, which things are you most excited for tonight, Rob?
I'm definitely most excited about the Scarlet versus Huck. I just love to see Scarlet's ZVP, but I'm really excited to see what JonSnow can do against Igus. I know he's a real tough contender, but JonSnow, he surprises kids, and he will surprise me, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Jon Snow's been up and comer for a while in the North American scene, coming along. Most recently on Flipside Tactics, another sweet up and coming North American team. Got a lot of nice players going on in there. Keep in mind, we are streaming on Hitbox, so go overhead and come over to hitbox.tv/Team Gravity if you are hanging out on Team Liquid right now, because on this Hitbox cool thing, we've got awesome stuff like in-poll chats, not any sort of links to straw polls. We've also got GIFs in chat. That's right, GIFs in chat, the most amazing thing you'll ever understand in your entire life. The memes are real, and they are right in your face and unavoidable. In addition, if you subscribe on Hitbox, you will get a $5 gift card to G2A, which you can use to go ahead and buy yourself another copy of StarCraft eventually. And, so it's pretty much paying for itself in that first month. But without any further ado, I think we can get directly into the first game of here. It's going to be on Expedition Lost. We've got JonSnow versus iaguz coming up.
Team Gravity presents Fight Night.
So have you ever seen JonSnow's Surfer's Terror?
No, I have not. Have you?
This is actually going to be my first as well. He knocked me out, and I think his best matchup is Zerg versus Zerg. And he knocked me out in one of the qualifiers for WCS last season. And so obviously, after he knocked me out, I had to cheer for him, right?
For sure. Because if he wins, then you get to say, "Oh yeah, I got knocked out by the guy who won. I don't feel that bad." Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. It's all that selfish motivation to cheer for him. But yeah, I mean, sadly, I never got to see him play ZVT. He beat some other Zergs and ended up losing to Desro, unfortunately. So yeah, this was my first time seeing his Zerg vs Terran in action.
And we have, spawning in the northernmost north of the north and Colden map, the red Zerg from Team Flipside Tactics. It's Jonathan Snow.
Yeah. The bottom left corner, we got iaguz from Root Gaming.
It's gonna go ahead and put down a supply depot on 10 supply, which is a pretty good thing to do if you're a Terran player. Throwing down the supply depot on 10 supply. It's one of those things that you just need to do. Also, the building SCVs going down. How do you feel about now? I know that the Swarm Host patch has hurt many a Zerg in the heart very, very dearly. How have you been reacting to it, and how do you think JonSnow is going to deal with any sort of Terran shenanigans on this map?
So this map, even though you can break down those rocks and get that nice little triangle third base, and it's pretty solid for mech, but at the same time, it really opens up the natural to counterattacks, because they start focusing so much at the third of that triangle, and if they take the other base and almost make a horizontal line out of their three bases, then the rocks at the north become an issue. And so even though mech is really popular right now and it's in the meta, this map actually, I feel pretty confident against mech on this map. I rarely lose to mech on this map, but we'll see how JonSnow reacts.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing the hatch first here. Nothing too concerning yet. We're still waiting on iaguz to make his decision. Lots of minerals in the bank, so it's looking like a gasless, potential gasless expand. Yes, indeed, the gasless expand. As a result, and Overlord's going ahead and scouring in that map. What kind of options for early aggression do you think that we'll be able to see here?
You know, with a marine opener, I'm typically not threatened whatsoever. It's really difficult to do any kind of pressure with the marine opener, and we'll see
Yeah.
typically when I go up against a marine opener like this. One, you want to obviously make sure your overlords are safe, so we'll make sure this JonSnow scouts the CC and pulls back. That's good. But really, the next thing that JonSnow needs to start looking out for is making sure that the marine count doesn't get too high. If you start seeing 4+ marines, it really starts giving a tell that they're probably going to do some kind of Hellbat marine push in the mid game.
Absolutely. In response, we do have a JonSnow coming down with those queens. And the no tech to be shown just yet. Speed coming in at a reasonable hour. We are seeing quite a few of these Marines getting stacked up. We already have 3. That 4th one is on the way. So potential, like you said, for a little bit of a Marine Hellbat aggression.
Yeah, it seems like that might actually be the case. You know, I think a lot of people do struggle with it. I typically, every time I see a Zerg player try roaches, it's just Hellbats just tank so much, and then the Marines in the back really start doing the actual damage. And so making, you know, 4 safety banelings is the best way to deal with it. And if you can scout the 4 Marines, then I typically will go for those 4 safety banelings and making sure you spread the creep with that 3rd queen, which we don't see just yet out of... Oh, the 3rd queen's almost done. And that's really important. You're definitely going to need to start spreading creep because it's really tough to defend a 3rd against Hellbats if you can't bring your queens.
Yep, absolutely. iaguz coming in here, doing a little bit of walling in action, playing nice and safe and sound, and also having the nice little ability to deny scouting information, which he's done a really great job of so far. JonSnow was able to scout the factory coming in, but that's nothing new. If I ever said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! He's going reactor heli into TVZ. What's going on?" It's complete madness. But for those of you not familiar with the matchup, this is a very usual type of thing. Hellions are a great unit that you can get early on to be able to sort of zone out, deny some creep spread, maybe go in and get a couple of drone kills. But it's really one of the few units that can sort of combat the Zergling in the early game and allows Terrans to sort of be aggressive a little bit, move out on the map. He is spreading out his units here, going for a little bit of scouting, gonna try and see what's going on. Ooh, just missing the watchtower, decides it doesn't need it. And he's gonna come over here and check out, knows that, all right, no 3rd over here on the right side, hasn't checked the left side yet. Or vice versa because of Lysdexia. You gotta watch out as a caster for Lysdexia. It just comes in and creeps in on you. You don't really see it coming.
So I'm curious what JonSnow is going to be spending his gas on. He's gone up to 4 gas before a 3rd base, which, you know, I don't play like this, so I don't have as much experience with what he's trying to, what his plan is. But
you see a Spire coming in.
Typically, yeah, Muta. It's 2-base Muta has kind of fallen out of fashion, though. I'm surprised he feels like it's the way to go. But I guess if he thinks his opponent's going to go mech, it might contain the opponent off 2-base to ensure that it's not a fast 3rd, because actually sometimes even if you go mech, you can put enough pressure with the Hellions out on the map where they can kind of take that 3rd base on you, and then if they can start getting Thors and turrets out, they secure it even before your 3rd sometimes, which can be real scary.
Yeah, that 3-base turtle is really powerful thing you have to watch out for because it's very difficult to get the economic advantage against anyone who's got the 3 bases up in time. We see a little bit of creep denial, scouting going on in the Hellions. 3rd base coming down here for JonSnow. I love the Overlords. I love so much the Overlords denying the expansions. For such a long time, this was not a common thing, and now it's just more and more becoming this. Oh yeah, this is just a thing that you do, and it's great.
Yeah, so we'll see him build, looks like probably 8 mutas here. I wonder if he'll start the upgrade, because that'll be a big tell that he wants to stick with mutas. I'm actually a big fan of mutas against mech, but we are seeing a lot of barracks out and double Marine upgrades, so he looks like he's going to be playing Bio, and we'll see if he's going to go for that third base pressure with his Bio, because you know, his Banshee did solid damage, but once he sees that it's creeped up, he might actually go for the other base. Or what are his medevacs count is? Does he have any medevacs? He has
He's got
none.
two on the way, none so far.
All right, so that's a little unfortunate. I think if he could have gotten the medevacs out a little bit sooner, he could have done some pressure while the mutas might have been chasing a Banshee or so. Chase a Banshee on the west side, and then double drop him in the main base.
Here we go. We do have a little bit of engagement over here. Mutalisk coming in and clearing out these Hellions. Hellions managed to get some Zergling kills on the way out. You can always just sort of go down fighting and get a little bit of damage done. It's always nice, but definitely a nice little advantage here for JonSnow. He's going to be coming into the third base. Small package of Marines over here to defend. They will be escorting these Zerglings through, but should be enough to push away this small number of mutas. This relatively small number of mutas does force a stim, and the medevacs are here to heal it up. So overall, looks like this third base is going to be able to be secured just barely there.
The most impressive thing about iaguz's play is just his ability to constantly keep up with his SCV production. And the second he takes his third base, he's already full 3-base income. So that's real scary for JonSnow.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Really important, that macro machine, getting that Terran macro machine going. JonSnow responding to this third base by taking fourth base. Zenonis is immediately scouted by iaguz, who has a really low health Banshee that's been doing a lot of work throughout the course of this. The muta's going to come in and clean it up just in time without any problems at all. Oh, that cloak would have been nice, but just barely misses it. Either way, it probably should have been okay to sort of clear out that expansion and secure it in either way. We've got a nice big Bioforce coming up, and a plethora of upgrades coming in from all beginning to time out here for JonSnow.
Yeah, we saw iaguz move on the east side watchtower right when he knew the mutas were on the fourth base, and it was rather unfortunate he didn't see that creep spread, because now if he takes the tower, he'll see that creep spread, and he would have really liked to have seen that so he could clear off that creep, because that's going to be an issue later on.
Absolutely. He's going to go in. He's setting up himself a nice little position over here, getting the Widow Mines to defend. Well, let's see what's going on. All right, we have the explosions going in all over the place, and it's these Banelings get targeted. Nice splitting here from iaguz. Manages to push this back. Now, the most important things in these Bio versus Mine and Baneling explosions are indeed the explosions themselves. We really need to be looking for, are the Mines connecting with the Banelings? Are the Banelings getting exploded upon the Marines? How the splitting is done. Lots of micro-heavy engagements going on over here. A drop getting loaded in the meantime. We have a sort of lull in the action. But that fourth base did get canceled. 3-base Terran versus 3-base Zerg. JonSnow is not a happy Zerg right now.
Yeah, absolutely. At least he's going after that medevac. Dropping that medevac count is really crucial. With this creep spread on the right side, I'm really surprised he hasn't taken the other fourth right now. The second I lose a fourth like that, and then you have power on the other side, you got to start leaning your emphasis on the east side. And you see this drop, see if it does work.
Yep, drop coming in, but there's nothing else really going on the map, so it doesn't really form any sort of positional play. He can't put any pressure over on the west side of the map by dropping on the east side. He is going to lose the force in its entirety. He's going to get a Mutalisk for his troubles, but overall, cost efficiency goes to iaguz in that, to JonSnow in that engagement. The drop gets cleaned up and no positional play resulting. But 181, we talked about the macros with iaguz before. This just pure supply is going to be really difficult to deal with. It's going to have to take some excellent control from JonSnow to be able to pull this out. Oh, nice Baneling connection there from the Widow Mine, nailing that, and also another nice Widow Mine shot on that group of Lings. And he's able to move in here.
With these small engagements of small Ling Bling, he's doing the right thing. It buys him enough time. Oop, he's going to try it. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, he's moving in. The Banelings are getting into the position here. A lot of those Widow Mines got set off beforehand. He is going to clean this up. He's going to be taking the fourth on, like you said, the east side of the map over here, because he has the creep spread to support it and defend it a little bit easier than all the way over here on the left. Widow Mine in place as well. We do have another drop coming in from iaguz in the west side, and he's planning an attack on the left side at the same time. This is more on that positional play. that makes dropping so annoying to deal with, having to split up your army in exactly the right amounts. Ooh, he's going to spot this base. Very nice. In the meantime, there is an engagement going on in the north. Banelings morphing in. They're going to be critical for Jon Snow's defense here. He's going to have to get the connections that he needs to get. Oh no, and a bunch of Marines here engaging directly into these Mutalisks. Lots of Mutalisks going down. Really not the engagement that Jon Snow's going to want to take there. Those Mutas very valuable, and GG, well played.
GG,
The
I
macro
guess.
of iaguz crushing through there.
Yeah, especially when I saw that 2-2 about the finish and the supply lead, that was tough. Jon Snow had to find some way to just buy himself enough time, and going in on that army, it looked like it was a good engagement, but losing that number of Banelings, it's tough to handle the follow-up, and that's kind of what we saw there.
Yeah, absolutely. When you run out of your ability to keep pumping out Banelings, and especially because he was only on 3 base gas for such a long time, he was never really able to get that 4th base gas up to support the Mutalisk production and the Baneling production as well.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what stilted his Muta production. He had to go into Banelings, he had to have that number of Banelings, but that's kind of why we saw him end up being stuck around 12 Mutas or so, and that just made the drops even more deadly because, as you saw on that east side, he felt like he had to engage that with just his Mutas, but the Mutas couldn't do work because there were just not enough of them.
Yeah, couldn't reach that critical mass of Mutalisks where it gets like, yeah, Mutalisks, they just kill everything because there's enough of them, which gets awfully scary and brutal. But, you know, a lot of smart decisions here from our Terran player, denying those bases, keeping the gas count of the Zerg nice and low. What do you think really in that last game was the critical moment where sort of Jon Snow began to lose hold of the game?
Where did he lose hold of the game?
Yeah, like what was what would you say was like the first major mistake that's sort of this downward spiral of he just kept getting further and further behind?
The climax, the critical fault of Jon Snow was simply because of the 4th base. When he lost the 4th base, he kind of lost the game. I guess his macro was too good. He had the same income as Jon Snow. The only advantage Jon Snow could try to eke out was gas advantage in order to afford Banelings and Mutas, and he just didn't have the Creed spread to defend that 4th, and so he pushed it. Even though the Creed spread was so good on the southeast side, it just wasn't there for that 4th base, and you desperately need at least one tumor ahead of your 4th base. Otherwise, a good Terran's gonna break you, and that's kind of what we saw.
Right. All right, we have our next map loading up here. We are going to be on Coda. And spawning in the bottom right-hand portion of our screen, we have the blue Terran, iaguz.
We already see iaguz pairing up his SCVs really well. It's impressive to see. In the top left corner, we have Flipside's Jon Snow.
All right. Yeah, and you talked a little bit about that worker pairing. It always, I'm a man of details, and small little details like that make my heart all warm and fuzzy. I love to see that, like, very attention to detail worker pairing. Not that this is a similar setup, but the Catalina map was really, really critical for that, as the mineral spread was quite awful.
Well, I didn't really take note of that, but absolutely the pairing. People don't think it makes a difference, but if you think about a single bounce of an SCV costs you 5 minerals, you start taking that seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. With proper worker pairing, you can get a depot down on 54 seconds instead of 58 seconds, and that's really big, especially for the first structure. Kind of can spiral out of control if you know exactly what to do at the right moment. And that's why you have things like where, Harding did the Soul Train build, and it was amazing, and he won all these times, and people tried to emulate it, and no one really executed as well as Harding did. And a big reason for that was he had just this incredible attention to detail and execution. He knew exactly which worker was going to build which building and where, how the workers would be paired up, which maps all the different positions would work on, and then obviously is like ridiculous force fields.
Absolutely. That really was what made the 2-base Protoss so scary, is that someone like Parting, where there was not a single second in that game he did not prepare and practice and and optimize. And with this, like you said, a single probe, he knew exactly which one to build where, and never have even a second of potential mismining.
Yeah. iaguz over here going for the command center first on a 2-player map. A little bit more of a risky build. We don't have any sort of super economic response here from JonSnow saying, well, you go command center first, I'll go for 2-hatch before pool. Which sometimes is a response. Instead, he'll be getting his spawning pool and his extractor up. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about like those kind of 2 major responses of like getting the pool up faster in response to the quick command center, or going for a more expansion-based play?
I'm so glad you brought it up because I'm excited and I want to talk about it too. So I'm a big fan of Life, and if Life doesn't do something, there's got to be a reason for it, right? So what Life likes to do is exactly what JonSnow is doing. I'm so glad JonSnow pulled off gas. When Life sees CC first, he doesn't try to do a fast hatchery. I think that kind of play has been out of the meta, and I think it's because some kind of bunker and harass at the third can just be really threatening if they scout the fast third. And so, and Life also likes to have the map control that comes with speedlings, but being able to take men off gas as soon as possible, it's almost like, yes, I built a gas. Oh, now I see he went CC. I shouldn't cancel a gas. I shouldn't not get something out of it. So let me get speed and then pull men off, not hurt my economy, so that I can kind of keep up with him in terms of mineral income while controlling the map to ensure he doesn't do any kind of shenanigans. And I think CC first is a really great build on this map. I actually, from my experience, I see a lot of Terrans do CC first on this map as well. It must be the rush distance might be a little bit longer, and it might also do something with the rocks on the west and east side. It just makes a lot more predictable movement, and maybe that's easier to be scouted as well.
Yeah, definitely. We do have the JonSnow coming out here, finishing up his speed. And we have a pretty fast starport coming up, just going right for the starport, no additional barracks or anything like that. He is going up to 2 gas. Another little thing that JonSnow did, we can't see it now, but he did leave that single drone in the gas this whole time, and he's going to use the gas that he's been gathering up to start that layer up, and taking all of his gas. Another 2-base Spire play, maybe?
It looks to be that way. I guess this must be his style, and he likes to stick to it. He's going to try and take a third here, but as we're going to see, those Hellions are going to prevent him from doing so. Oop, there it is. So yeah, this is a tough build to play because a Terran can truly punish you, and that's what he's doing right now. Is JonSnow would love to go 2-base Spire and get his third up, but what we're seeing is iaguz is not going to let that happen.
Yep, he is going to manage to swing out over here after pushing out with some queens, but like you said, very much delayed. He hasn't made very many Zerglings at all, so going to be, teching pretty hard on 2-base and then trying to take this greedy 3rd base without too many units to defend.
Goodness.
Got a big move out here.
Almost done. Oh, Hellbats are going to come. Is he going to make Banelings in time? He does. The second Baneling nest is done, he makes 2. That is great play. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yep, he's got the Spine Crawler in front. We have 3 queens as well. 2 of them ready with the transfuse. 1 almost there, and here come the Hellbats. He's going to have to spread out here. Those 2 Banelings coming in and making some connections, not really getting back there to the Marines. The Hellbats doing unreasonable amounts of damage, as they are unreasonable damaging units, but so far pushed out. He's considering over here making a move to the 3rd, but not. He's going to move back over here. This 3rd base, very vulnerable, no creep, really difficult to defend with queens. Without any creep, Zerglings are going to come in. He's considering it. He's going to wait for these queens. Looks like he's going to wrap some of the Zerglings around to the side. I don't know if he's going to be sacrificing this base, but here it is. We have the Zerglings come around from all different angles. 3 queens and 2 Banelings coming in as well. But, oh man, those Hellbats absolutely destroy those Zerglings.
And knowing iaguz, I mean, he's going to pick up with what he's got and get out of there after he... Ooh. That's brutal. iaguz just did a great job macroing behind it as well. A lesser Terran would have focused more on the actual fight and not done as much at home. It's scary to see a Terran be hellbatting you and be ahead on economy. That's rarely the case.
Interesting here. He comes right through and he makes a little a further attack here, and he loses all of his forces for the for the trade of a queen. So a little bit sloppy play there by iaguz. And also, JonSnow is very aware that there's only 2 bases up for this Terran. This is going to be very interesting. We do have a lot of missile turrets. I think that was somewhere in the vein of 7 or 8 missile turrets on the way for a moment there. He's also got 2 Thors in production. He's very aware that this Mutalisk attack is on the way and should be well prepared for it, but economically, he's not doing all that well with this delayed 3rd base. Is the 3rd command center even down? Yes, it is. Okay, so he'll be able to float that over as soon as he can gain map control.
I just really liked seeing that Viking. I wonder if he saw the Overlord poop and creep earlier, or he was just expecting it, but that Viking just saved him so much, because now these 2 Thors are going to come out, and he can actually start taking his 3rd any minute now.
Yeah, we got some Zerglings coming in as well. The Hellions should be able to protect the Thor from those Zerglings, but iaguz not going for that 3rd base just yet. He's going to be turtling up. He may or may not be waiting for this upgrade to finish before he moves out. Here it is, the attack of the orbital command. He's going to crush all of these Zerglings. Now, if only you could crush things with landed buildings. But yeah, he's moving his forces out here. He's being very careful about the way he engages this. And he's going to very, very nicely move out, take this 3rd base, and not really too much JonSnow can do about it, except lose a Muta to Vikings, you know, which is not really the best response, I would say.
I really like the Roach switch. Roach Muta is how you used to deal with mech in Wings of Liberty, and I think people forgot about that when Swarmhost came out. I mean, you'd even see some top pro players end up losing their Swarmhost, realize that they couldn't go back into Swarmhost, and they would just forget that Roach Muta is a thing, and Roach Muta can honestly counter mech if they're not with the exact right composition. Sometimes people move out with too few tanks, and the overwhelming roaches will just break them. So we'll see if iaguz picks up on this roach switch and starts mixing some tanks, and we already see that happening. 2 tanks.
Yep, and no 4th yet from JonSnow. He has been building lots of units, now taking finally his 3rd base gases, but we have Roach Speed and +1 going to finish out at about the same time. Might create this very strong opportunity for a potential attack on the 3rd, but I mean, it's very difficult for the mech composition to attack, so it may be more likely that he goes ahead and takes a 4th.
JonSnow's in trouble right now. He's been sitting at 54 and been just making nothing but roaches right now, and he's hoping for a break. We see him taking down these tanks. He knows how important that is. He has to drop this tank count, but with 3 more on the way, oh my goodness, 7 tanks. No way 30-something roaches is gonna break this. JonSnow.
Yeah, he's gonna have to catch the tanks way out of position, maybe coming in over on this left side. There is currently a supply depot down. Could be a critical mistake. So far, only 1 tank over here in position to deal with attack from that angle, but he's going to be walking directly into a siege tank line, which generally is an awful idea. And we're going to see if he has enough forces to break through here. The roaches trying to target down the tanks dishing out unreasonable amounts of damage. The Thors as well in the back, dishing out the damage, and this is, oh god. Walking in a siege tank line is still bad. It is still bad, Robin.
Yep, and if you look at the resources lost, JonSnow is not happy about that engagement, and with only 53 harvesters, iaguz almost has twice his income right now. Taking into account his mules that just ended, but oh yeah, jumping back up to 2,800 per minute. Scary stuff.
Absolutely brutal, and that's what, you know, that's why you see these long passive games against mech, because when you try to get aggressive against a mech player like this, they usually just thwart you with their sieged up tanks, which basically just happened there. He is switched into massive drone production. He's continuing to get upgrades, Hydralisk Den and Hive as well. And he's doing a little poking around here, but I don't think he's going to be able to get anything done.
You know, the one thing I would do in JonSnow's position, the only way he could potentially win is he gets a strong, you know, maxed out army. Oh, this Hellion run-by might do work. Oh, never mind.
Running into a bunch of roaches there. Excellent for JonSnow.
You know, he's not going to be able to take the mech army, but if if iaguz leaves too little at home, a counterattack makes the roaches are great in counterattack scenarios because they might not be able to take the army, but they can run to all 3 bases and do critical damage, and then it can force some kind of base trade scenario, because that's really the only thing JonSnow's got going for him, is he can't really contend against this mech army for the rest of the game. He doesn't have the economy to be able to make any kind of high-tech structures or building or units that can really handle this. He doesn't have the number of bases he needs to truly trade bases. If the iaguz goes after his 5th base, you could
And
try
we
to
do have a
counterattack.
move out here of tanks. He's getting slowly pushed out. A big part of this is going to be able to catch the army of iaguz, not head on, but like you said, with little moves like counterattack. We have a move over here with the roaches. They are taking a little bit of tank damage unnecessarily, going to end up losing as the mech army moves forward onto the creek toward the 3rd and 4th bases of JonSnow. He's in a nice position here. He can get quite a concave. But the problem is those siege tanks are going to be difficult. The Vipers are on their way.
Yeah, they don't have
there they are.
energy yet, but if all the way on this creep, if he can get a perfect little 360 surround with a couple, money blinding clouds, he might be able to bring this back.
Yeah, blinding cloud, really critical spell here. Is everything going to be ready in time? These tanks are a little bit out of position from a flank on the right side. It looks like, yes, that flank to the right side is coming in. It's going to be able to deal with a lot of these tanks. Vipers coming in as well. Oh, getting targeted down. Blinding Clouds managed to go down just before he loses that Viper there.
Wow.
And looks like he's actually going to clean up this attack. Well done from JonSnow.
Well, that tank spread, he lost on the south side, but kind of cleaned up a little bit on the north side. Yeah, not enough.
Unfortunately, it is not enough. That reinforcement coming in, and JonSnow knew it was over. GG, well played. iaguz takes the game.
Yeah, and once again, it was just great play by iaguz, and the most impressive thing about that engagement is even though he only saw Roach Hydra, iaguz knew the only way that kind of army composition Roach Hydra could have beaten his mech ball is if he did just that, made it a mech ball. So he turned a great vertical line of tanks where you couldn't even blinding cloud more than 1 tank, and that's the way to do it. That's the way to just say, I don't know what you got, but that Roach Hydra is not going to do it, and a single money blinding cloud's not going to do it either.
Yep, absolutely. And another position where JonSnow, for the 2nd game in a row here, was just behind in economy and macro for almost the whole game.
Yeah, and that all stemmed from him trying to just break the 3-base Terran, and I don't know what he picked up on, or maybe it's just how he builds, because you saw how many turrets he built, and so it very well could just be iaguz's strategy to say, hey, I go up to 4 Thors, I get the 12, 15 turrets out, and with that number, I'm not afraid of anti-air or mass muta. So at that point, I'm going to start siege tank production. And so he just prevents the window from actually being there. You can't do that attack if iaguz does that build properly, and that's kind of what we saw.
Absolutely, and the idea of, like, you throw down all of those turrets, you're turtling up really hard. I mean, ideally, that's the time where JonSnow goes ahead and takes a 4th, but at that point in time, he had already been cranking out roaches and zerglings for such a long time that his drone count was just too low to even take advantage of 4th base at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what made him trigger to decide to do that attack, because there really was no reason for it. I wonder if he's had success with other mech Terrans with that attack, and he believed there was a window that was capable, and then iaguz kind of slapped him and told him no. But,
yeah, and great scouting too. Like you said, he started the siege tanks at just the time that he needed to. He was, keeping up on what JonSnow was up to. But without any further ado, we are in game now and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, Cactus Valley, representing Team Flipside Tactics. It's the Blue Zerg, JonSnow.
And in the top right-hand corner, we got iaguz from Root Gaming.
Root Gaming, apparently known for their super macro Terrans, Massa also is nuts with his macro, especially
Really?
in this matchup. Yeah, all
Really?
the games I've ever seen, and all of the and I don't mean like macro as in strategy, as in like he goes for the long game, but macro is in just like the sheer mechanical ability. Looking at the statistics, like from game analysis, Massa is one of the highest SQ players that submit to the
Wow.
GG Tracker site.
I didn't know that because, I obviously have personal biases, and I'm sure some of it's
Right.
confirmation bias and etc. But I've only played Masa I think 4 or 5 games, but I've always been able to contend against his macro. His scariest, I mean, he is scary when it comes to his proxy 8/8 Reaper.
Mm.
He knows how to do it. The biggest issue with playing against someone like Masa is that there's just so few Terrans that are as threatening as him. Unless you're playing against Korean pro gamer Terrans, there are a very few number of Terrans that can do what he can do with his micro and early game harass. So if what you're telling me is true and his macro really is that threatening, then he's I mean, I already knew he was a great player, but he must not really have any weaknesses.
Yep, no weaknesses. He is the Golden Terran. We do have another command center first year, but yeah, just statistically, his macro skill is one of the highest that I've seen, and even in this matchup, it's just this brutal like, oh my god, he takes a giant engagement, and somehow he's just always ahead in supply. But yeah, having that range just as a pro gamer, or like a prospective pro gamer as it might be in a particular case, being able to have that range of strategy, being able to be brutal in the early game, so that your opponents are like, well, I can't get too greedy because he can do anything and he can absolutely execute it well. Whereas the player, it's like, oh yeah, this guy always macros, so I'm gonna be super greedy and take advantage of that. Having that range is definitely really critical, especially in a best of 5.
Most definitely, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of Zergs need to focus on, particularly even myself. There aren't too many kind of cheeses or all-ins you can do as Zerg, but mastering a roach bailing attack is critical. You have to be able to have those in your deck of cards,
Right.
because like you said, it prevents people from being too greedy and metagaming you, or assuming that you're gonna always do what you normally do, and you gotta keep them on their toes.
Yep, and that's a very difficult thing to do. A lot of people don't realize. It's very easy to say, oh yeah, well, why doesn't he just cheese sometimes? Like, well, it's people like to talk down on cheese, but you have to. There is an intense level of execution and decision making involved. You have to adjust in these very slim timings. You have to execute correctly if you want to be scary in that early game timing. So it does take a lot of practice, and you can't just on a whim say, oh yes, I will do a perfect roach bane all in. It's no problem. Because
And
it is cheese, it is easy.
Especially with roach bailing, it's one of those builds that there's many other cheeses as well, not just roach bailing, but you gotta have deception. It's all about deception when it comes to a build like that. You're not gonna beat somebody with roach bailing or some kind of 5 racks Reaper without deception. But with deception, anything's possible.
Absolutely. We do have a pretty fast 3-base play here from JonSnow. I think it was 2 hatch before pull, but the gas was in there as well, a little bit earlier gas for speed. This map particularly is really, really scary because this choke is the smallest choke for a natural base in the game right now, or maybe like ever. This natural base choke is ridiculous. You can actually wall it in with a bunker and a barracks only if you know the placement. It's quite insane. Going to be pushing out some of that Overlord scouting in the top area, and this sort of normal here. Reactor Heli, we are going to see Stim coming in, so it looks like we have another bio game. It would be quite strange for 2 engineering bays to come down and play mech, but Ketrock has been known to go ahead and build 2 engineering bays and go into mech, so if Ketrock can, it is possible, though unlikely. And I like this start from JonSnow. This position from JonSnow to start off. He's got this 3rd base down a lot earlier than he has in his other games, and like I was saying before, it's been really tough for him to be able to compete with iaguz without having that income.
Absolutely, we almost already see him with better income than last game. And this crate spread, being able to throw those 2 tumors down, and iaguz being on the other side of his third, I think really helped as well, because now we're seeing uncontested crate spread, and especially on this map, I believe crate spread is so important. Oh man!
Oh, we
Hellion
got a
run
lot
by.
of drone kills coming over here. Oh, he's a bit lined up. You got to watch out for that. Very difficult micro here. Really got to split up those drones and engage not in a line. And in a line is the natural way that things move. If you just go ahead and click, it's not going to be the ideal scenario. So a lot of attention to detail necessary there if you really want to engage properly. He does push out after the couple of queens, and like you said, facilitating that in a major way is his creep spread and the fact that the Hellions had to take the long road, as it were, to get to that third base.
Right. It was excellent maneuvers with those Hellions, though, to keep those 2 low HP Hellions alive. Being able to do that full circle, understanding that he could get out and pull those 2 back. And
All right. And JonSnow, he switched into
surprise.
full. Yeah, Roach Baneling. Speak of the devil. And he is at a supply advantage right now. Oh, instantly 3 bunkers coming down. iaguz just now realizing what's going down. Is he going to be able to get that bunker repaired? Oh my god, it's so close. It looks like he's going to be able to get that repaired just in time, but the Banelings coming around. Oh, nice shots from the Hellions, but it's not up. The Banelings are going to get in here, and they're going to deal worlds of damage, and this is absolutely critical. He's chasing down the Marines. He's putting them out of the fight while the Roaches deal damage up in the front.
Ooh,
and nice
great
explosion
supply
shield
depot
for Banelings up
raids.
to the top.
Oh man.
Oh man, this is base is being overrun right now. We're going to have some excellent
more
execution
Banelings,
here from
those
iaguz.
SCVs.
Running around from the Banelings there. Very nice moves. Got a couple extra bands to the top. Workers are coming down, and the forces of iaguz are plummeting. This is not over. The Marines are... Oh my god, what a desperate last hold. He's trying to use the minerals here to get into the right position so you can make this happen, but I don't know. Oh man, 29
It's
supply is an
great
awfully
to
low
see.
number of supply to have and not leave the game, but he's still fighting it out. GG, JonSnow. Speaking of range,
Yeah. Oh
JonSnow
yeah.
displays his range.
I'm so glad that he did that, because when I was watching while we saw the Hellions harassing, third CC, double upgrades, and then he starts throwing down more barracks, and that's the moment where if those Hellions die, there's only about 4 Marines on the entire map, because you gotta start stim, you gotta start those double upgrades. That is the moment Terran is most weakest, and I'm so glad to see JonSnow. I don't know if he picked up on that or he was just rolling the dice, but that iaguz's build, it had a hole, and that was it right there.
Absolutely, and that's like tough to do in a best of 5 when you're down 0-2, to make that hard choice. And I'm sure that that sort of went into iaguz's thinking as well, where you don't really expect, your opponent who's 1 game away from elimination to pull out a cheese like that. But just excellent Roachbane timeling, and making that work for him does JonSnow. And it looks like he's going to be playing Terran this game. Very interesting. Race.
I think it's David Kim. Anytime you join a custom game, David Kim makes a Terran.
Yeah, well, he just is encouraging you to play the OP race. Just you know that you want it. You know you want to play the Terran. That's why they're having such a hard time of adding, a new unit to Terran, because they're already so strong. It's like, how could we even make Terran any better? It's just
They already got them all.
It's tough to do. All the tools are already there. It's like, what are we even gonna do? Herc? I don't know. We already got that covered. Get rid of that unit. Cyclone? Well, I guess we're gonna have to make it super OP. Otherwise, we already got it covered. All right. Next map is Vani Research Station, and we have spawning in the top area of the screen. He's up 2-1, 1 game away to close it out. Can he defend JonSnow's eminent Baneling all-in? It's Root iaguz.
In the bottom center, we have Flipside's JonSnow, who just took a game with the Roach Baneling. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And now the fear of the Roach Baneling is in the heart of the Terran. And that's what you want, That's what you want. You want your opponent, your Terran opponent, to be afraid. And iaguz, It's probably a little dramatic. Maybe he's not afraid, but he does have to keep that in mind, right? He has to say, okay, JonSnow is capable of that. I have to keep that in mind. How do you feel
Absolutely.
about
I mean,
TVZ on Vani Research Station?
ooh, before I get into that, I just want to say
Okay,
one last thing about the last game, and
absolutely.
in reference to that roach bailing, he might not be fearing it, but he's definitely going to be thinking about more scouting because that last game he only scouted the third. He never even saw the choke of the natural, and if he was prodding around the natural area, he might have saw the roaches come out sooner. And he went home directly right after that Hellion run by, and if he kept the Hellions out on the map a little bit, he might have been a little bit more prepared and could have got those bunkers up sooner. So he's definitely going to be emphasizing scouting a little bit more in this game because that was definitely his biggest mistake last game.
Yep.
And so to get into Vani, Vani
Yes.
is a very, I'd say, tech or mech favored map. Now, of course, this map, the natural of the Zerg base, particularly, and now, of course, the natural of the Terran as well is very vulnerable to mass muta. Mass muta on this map is great, but also drops of the natural are very tough to hold. If you don't have creep spread at the fourth base, they can double drop your natural while hitting your fourth base and from that high ground area right above that fourth base. And so JonSnow is going to have to look out for that if he's going bio. But this map's also, recently we've seen a lot of ZVT mech play on this map. And I wonder if will he switch it up or will he stick with bio?
Yeah, we did see that sort of Hellion style in one game out of the past three, but other than that, it's been bio all the way down. Fast expansions from both players, as to be expected. Whenever you have a backdoor expansion, usually you want to make use of that by taking a nice, safe, quick natural base. And JonSnow's going to go ahead and get his speed up right away, and to keep that one worker in gas, and potentially, if he uses that next 100 gas to get the lair, we could see some more two-base fire. Like you said, Mutalisk a little bit stronger on this map, being able to harass that natural base. And, also have to keep in mind, Terran's going to drop. One of the easier ways to deal with that Terran dropping all over the place is having the fast air-to-air damage mutas.
Absolutely. And it's not even just the natural. The power of being able to be at the natural and not forced to go south. You can get, if Marines try and run below you and try and cut you off, you could just run north and then west into his main base, and just all this back area just makes Vani so powerful for mutas and that air dominance. So JonSnow kept going this exact build the past couple games before he before he went for that roach bailing last game, and I definitely think that we'll see the same play out of him. I wonder if iaguz will be able to deny his third or delay it, because he kept being able to delay JonSnow's third by a little bit the first couple of games, and if he can do the same, I think it'll do wonders, because if JonSnow can get that third up faster, he can start spreading creep faster, and he might be able to get that fourth base and get a tumor ahead of it. And really, if this game goes on to a longer game, one of the biggest game changers on this map is the fourth base. Can you defend your fourth base? And the question of can you defend your fourth base is, do you have a creep tumor in front of it? Because if you don't have a creep tumor in front of it, it makes it very difficult, and you have to be an excellent Zerg player to be able to contest a Terran who's hitting your fourth without creep. And so, having a faster third, and that's what we're seeing, faster third. Looks like he actually is not going for a fast slayer, and he's getting that faster third out and spreading the creep and emphasizing that creep spread. We got 4 queens on the map.
Yep. Love those high queen plays. One of my favorite styles of Zerg involves those heavy queen plays. Lots of fun. And as a spectator, it's always awesome to see like the map engulfed by creep. It's always lots of fun. Opting for that earlier Baneley nest with that gas that he was mining before. He is sticking on just 2 gas for now, so not quite as high as usual. And like you said, emphasizing that creep spread. In the meantime, we do have the armory finishing up. Brute iaguz. We may see some Hellbat action in the very near future here.
I'm a little surprised he wants to save his energy for transfuses with only two tumors. I don't know. I think I might have tried to go for 4. Oh, okay, there we go. We're seeing the two more on the west side. Ooh, but
All right, and
does he-
in come the Hellions. They're going to get some free drones, potentially. They get to move up and cancel some of this creep. Oh, one queen already down. This is not looking good at all for JonSnow. He retreats back into his main. Baneling's morphing, but this third base is incredibly vulnerable to the attack.
Well, it looks like he's gonna save it, but those drones really were unnecessary to lose. It was unfortunate that he transferred them.
Oh, nice Baneling connections there. He does lift off, and he manages to get out with just a couple of Hellbats. Well defended overall for JonSnow, though. He's following this up with quite a few Zerglings. In the meantime, Aiga's going for Cloak and Banshees.
Absolutely. You know, if you can kill that Hellion and that mech push, it makes for a Ling Bling counterattack, very powerful. But what we're seeing out of iaguz, though, is mech. And if the Terran is going mech, he's rebuilding those Hellions. And now it's too hard to do this Ling Bling follow-up when the guy has 6 Hellions when you think he only has 2.
Oh, nice bit of surround there. He's going to be able to catch some of these Hellions out. Definitely a nice start. He should be able to force this to lift. In the meantime, we have a Banshee flying into the main base, or hanging out before going in to do anything. He is a little bit busy trying to deal with this. Oh my god, the Baneling is going directly for it here.
Line him up.
Yep, he's splash damage. Utilizing his splash damage is key to the defense of this attack. All the Banelings getting into the mineral line. Tons of workers going down. 13, 21 workers already dead. This Banshee, in the meantime, has only managed to rack up 2 kills.
Nice.
And the Zerglings are running wild in the base of Root iaguz right now. Hellions falling, and this is absolutely brutal. And it's just continuing. He's just continuing to rally Zerglings across the map.
Yes, this is what he needs. This will secure him the win if he can get more of these kills. Because with triple mules and a cloak Banshee follow-up, he really does need to do how much damage he's doing right now. JonSnow has not truly won just yet.
Yep, very difficult to deal with this Hellion Banshee composition when you're just cranking out Zerglings. Lots of damage has been done, but like you said, Root iaguz, he's coming back here. He should be able to hold off for the time being. Now, with this kind of advantage, as a Zerg player, what is your follow-up? What follow-up do you like and why?
So what's really scary about this is JonSnow only has 1 queen. I don't know how. I guess he lost all the other 3 during that Hellbat. I thought he only lost 1, but with only 1 queen, the 3 Banshee. Ooh, I mean, he threw away. He desperately needed to save those Zerglings as well to fight on creep, because he just fought off creep. Now he has no potential for counterattacks. He has no potential to really hold this. It's gonna be scary.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the Hellbats coming in here. He's gonna try to fight around these Spore Crawlers if he can. Definitely difficult picking off a Roach over here.
So much damage.
This lack of queens. Oh, and these roaches only coming out 1 at a time. This is absolutely brutal. All of that damage JonSnow had being thrown away with his counterattack. Look at all of these drones about to get roasted. The Hellbats are pretty slow, so he's going to run away to the best of his abilities. Queen's coming out, but he's just fighting with 1 unit at a time here, and it's very difficult to get these sort of kills.
Unfortunately. He had a really great snipe on that medevac right before his queen died, though. It was, for the greater swarm, I guess.
Yep. Well, drone's over in the corner here. He really needs to get them away, and he manages to finish off at least the ground forces for the time being. He's going into drone production, so he feels as though he's warded off this attack for the most part. When you look at the worker counts, they are at 43 to 44, so just an absolute slugfest here. Giant hits being traded on either side, and we have some normalization.
Yeah. You know, JonSnow does he have roach speed? Oh, he just started it. So JonSnow's tech is really behind. iaguz has +2 upgrade on the way, 3 CC. You don't want to be even harvesters. This is scary. Yeah, as we see with this Hellion run by, did it pick off anymore? It did.
Yeah, 6 more, 7 drones being dead. The Banshees are here in the back, so some of that damage coming in from that harassment, but Yeah, like you said, just being on an even worker count as a Zerg, and again we have JonSnow not able to secure a fourth base, and against Root iaguz here, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Although he only has minimal saturation at his third base so far.
Ouch. It's always tough when these two queens come back, or two banshees come back and are still a problem. Because, you know, now what do they have on them? 11 and 46?
My
Wow.
God, yeah, I just clicked on that. Holy crap!
Oh my
This
goodness.
is
I
an
hope it
episode
hits
of
50.
Fun Day Monday. What is even going on? The amount of damage that. Oh my
No!
God, the hero! Oh, he dies!
No!
Never to get 50 kills.
He got
And
47.
scouting the infestation pit. Evolution chamber is coming down, so the fourth base is on the way, and that's going to be that point of contention here. We do have the mech of Root iaguz here. 5 factories cranking out those units. 2 Thors already on the way. 3 now.
iaguz, such a ruthless general. You'd think that after 47 kills, he'd send the boy home.
That's right. He's just like, no, you will get every last kill, and then you will die. You'll be taken to Valhalla.
So it's looking real grim here for poor JonSnow. You know, being down 5 workers still, no tech, no future tech on the way. 1-1. He's getting Ling upgrades. Maybe he's thinking he can do some kind of counterattack base trade scenario with Roach Ling, because that's the only thing I can think of.
Helton's coming in here. Nice split so far. 1 worker down, and just excellently done so far, mitigating this Hellion damage. He is going to lose, I think, a chunk of workers over here. Nope. Nice cleanup here. He's only lost 6 workers so far. Now, a little bit of options over here to finish it off. Yeah, in total only 7 workers. I'd say that's a pretty nice defense. You're not going to do too much better as a Zerg with that many Hellions coming into your base.
It's true. The biggest problem is that iaguz can just throw that away, and any kind of extra kills is icing on the cake. He knows that JonSnow, if you keep forcing him to build drones, he's never going to have a real army other than roaches.
Potential nice beginning pick off here before the tanks get in position. Means everything you can get. This Ultra Cavern is going to come way too late to do anything for this fourth base. This is economic mate for JonSnow. He is in big trouble here.
Yeah. 5 Banshees. Oh my goodness. They're just going to do so much damage. There's no answer to Banshees.
Potentially a counterattack. This looks bleak. He is going to make a fight of it. He's going to, well, let's see. Potentially catching reinforcements. He is waiting on this, and the engagement has begun. He's going for those tanks, targeting them down pretty quickly. Those 5 Banshees doing tons of work.
Yeah. Banshees just melt roaches and queens. GG.
Absolutely.
Well played
GG.
by iaguz.
And iaguz takes the series 3-1. Well played for him. Excellent play. But yeah, what did you think of the JonSnow series there? The JonSnow iaguz series. How do you feel about it as a Zergy?
He definitely made it exciting, you know, especially that Roach bailing and in his attempt of making the Ling Bling all in work. I am a big fan of that style because I do it all the time. If you can hold off that Hellbat push, you can do a very strong Ling Bling timing right after the fact, and that's kind of what we saw. I think the reason why JonSnow lost that game, it doesn't seem like much, but I think the reason why he lost the game is because he transferred drones to that third base when that Hellbat push came. If you looked at his main base, he only had 12 drones mining at the main. If he kept those 5 or 6 drones in his main base like he should have, all he would have lost during that Hellbat push was that 1 queen that got caught on the west side of his hatchery.
Right.
And then he cleans it up, and then he's got full 2-base income, and then he does that push with full 2-base income. Instead, he did that kind of Ling Bling push with only, I think, 35 workers, and if he had 39, 40, then he'd be able to follow up a lot. He'd have more money for more lings, of course, but he'd have some spare money for a tech switch while still being able to spend his larva or mixing in some drones with it. And I think that if he had those 4 or 5 extra drones that wouldn't have lost, especially right before you're about to do an all in, losing 4 or 5 drones right before you're about to do an all in, whether you're Zerg or Protoss, that just hurts. So
Yeah.
I think if he they're an unnecessary vulnerability, those drones, and if they stayed nice at home at the main base, I think JonSnow very well might have brought that game home.
Yep, but that's just one of those critical and very deceptive things. Learning how to play Zerg is knowing that balance, getting that exact right worker count at the right time, and protecting your drones from harassment. Because it is so huge, like you said, just like 4 or 5 drones can make a really, really big difference. Also, that Ling Bane follow up, like you said, maybe a lot more effective against Bio, but that was absolutely a mech play coming out of iaguz, and he had all those Hellions to deal with that and splash damage. So he was able to, get enough situation going on there, clean it up, and make that counterattack happen.
Yep.
I'd like to take this time to remind everyone that if you subscribe to hitbox.tv/Team Gravity, you will get a $5 gift card to G2A. G2A, awesome place. You can go ahead and buy games there and download them and, play to your game's delight without ever having to leave your seat, which, as we all know, as nerds, we pretty much never leave our seats, and we keep everything that we need within arm's length just in case. I've got my water right here. I'm sure I could sit here for at least 12 more hours and just continually cast StarCraft, which is, the preferred thing to do in life. Also, we do have polls and gifts in chat, so if you want to come and hang out in the Hitbox, if you are watching on Team Liquid right now, you can go ahead and just click on the screen and head over to Hitbox and see the wonderful, wonderful memes up in the chat. Currently, we are looking at some Deal With It memes directly from Team Gravity, which are very much appreciated. Next up, we've got Death Row versus Dragon, who will be playing Terran. So tonight, we've got a ZVT, just finished up. We got a TVP after that, which is the coming up match, and we have a PVZ to finish it off, Huck versus Scarlet. So we get all the non-mirror matchups. All of you haters of mirror matchups, you are happy and wonderful and feeling good today, as we will not have any of those mirror matchups for your poor little heart to deal with it. Only the very best of StarCraft matches to come forward.